everybody. I'm Jesse.
Sorry, I'm Jay.
And this is the Kitchener Famous podcast. This is our first, this is actually our first video podcast, and we're actually pretty excited about this one. So Jay, why don't you take it?
Yeah, we'd like to welcome a very special guest today. You might know him from his comedy group, The Trophy Husbands, which has a host of Funny or Die videos. Few of my favorites being the Spit Take, the great. He does a great Thor in the historical Marvel movies, and
I saw that.
And then the P is for Professionals is always a good one. Amongst a bunch of them, and they've all got like 1 billion views on them, Jesse, on YouTube. So yeah, and he's here with us actually to promote his new show called For Heaven's Sake. It blends comedy, crime, documentary. He's on the search with his old buddy Mike for what happened to Mike's great uncle Harold Heaven. He went missing in 1934, and he was never found or heard from again. So yeah, you can catch For Heaven's Sake, streaming it on the CBC Gem app and or the Paramount Plus app. So our guest here, he's actually from Toronto, Jesse, but he's
okay.
Yeah, he's actually a former student though, Kitchener-Waterloo's own Wilfrid Laurier University. So that's how he's allowed to be on the show
you're a
here.
Golden Hawk alumni then.
So it's a great honor to welcome writer, comedian, and amateur detective Jackson Rowe.
Wow. Thank you very much, gentlemen. That was a great intro. I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Geez, it took me like 3 hours to come up with all that. So
it worked, man. I'm blushing over here. It was worth it.
We did our homework too. Yeah. We actually watched the whole series.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Man. That was really cool.
It's a great show, man. Yeah, great watch. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So we got a couple questions for you, man. Well, first of all, I guess we kind of know now what makes these are sort of standard show questions that we ask all guests, but what makes Jackson Rowe Kitchener famous?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, going to Wilfrid Laurier was my exposure to KW. Yeah. That was back in 2009, 2010.
Okay.
I was there for 2 years. Loved it. Wasn't necessarily the best student. Hence why I became a comedian, I think, later.
So you hung out at Wilf's in the Turret quite a bit.
I've been to Wilf's, the Turret, yeah. The Vault was around back then.
How about
Chainsaw, all the good ones, yeah.
Did you ever hang out at Wilf's on a Tuesday night when they had live music?
I'm sure I have, yeah.
Because you would have seen me on stage because I used to do Tuesday nights, man.
Jesse had to get that in there.
Yeah.
Well, so our paths have probably crossed before.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
There you go. What song would you sing when you went to the Chainsaw? I guess we got to ask that too.
Yeah. My go-to karaoke song is always Mr. Brightside by the Killers. Just easy. Everyone knows the words.
Yeah.
If you're too drunk, it doesn't really, it sticks in your memory. It's just muscle memory,
okay.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah. Right. And that's an easy one. You just hold the microphone out and everyone sings the chorus, right?
Exactly, yeah.
All right. We got a couple standard questions that we always ask our guests here. So let's throw them at them. Since you're on the Funny or Die thing, this is probably obvious, but like, have you ever met anyone actual famous?
I mean, yeah. Pitching this show, some of the executive producers on it who live in LA are, they're famous, but they're more behind the camera famous. But They took us out to a birthday party one night, and Kirsten Dunst was there.
Oh, wow.
Questlove was there. Zooey Deschanel. And meeting them is definitely a stretch, but I definitely said hello and passed by. So we can count that if you want.
Absolutely.
There we go.
Yeah.
One of my questions was what originally got you into comedies, and what's your relationship to comedy? Like, what got you into it, and what are some venues or memorable comedy gigs that you've done?
Cool. Yeah. Comedy was always sort of in my life. I think I just love to laugh. I love to make people laugh. But when it actually sort of became like a feasible career, or I sort of committed to it, wasn't until after Laurier, basically. Okay. I went to Laurier, I went to university, and without really much direction of what I wanted to do. And by the time I was finished there, I was kind of knew that, I want to give this acting/comedy thing a real try. And then the acting kind of faded away pretty quick when comedy was just so much more fun. And that became my number one and only sort of interest. sort of became an obsession, and then started making videos, and that led to all these opportunities, which have been awesome. And as far as gigs, I mean, there's like 4 major theaters in Toronto, at least there were before the pandemic, that the best is when you could hit every single one in a night. I think that was always cool. But that the Social Capital Theatre is my favorite theater in Toronto. They do a world's biggest improv tournament. They have something like 128 teams of 2 competing. And Mike and myself from the show came in 2nd place last year. And that was pretty awesome. Yeah.
Wow.
I like it.
Yeah. Mike Milden, for those listeners out there.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Your relationship, man. It's kind of funny because I was watching it. I was like, it's kind of like Jay and I, man. Like it's pretty similar. Yeah, we're constantly coming up with voices and sketches and skits, and it's really just a pastime. But now it's like we've got the podcast going, and we're like, yeah, maybe we could make a go of this, and maybe we can do something. And then seeing those sketches today, I was like, you know what? We should make a go of this. They're clearly successful at it, so maybe we should be doing it too.
Well, it's funny, Jackson, because the way you guys are with each other too is very similar to us. Like when you found out, when you put Mike on the spot there, when you gave him the theory about about like, well, what if it did come from the brothers, and put him on the spot there. That's the kind of thing that attracts us, and
I love the look on his face too.
Yeah.
It's just pretty funny, man.
Busting his balls a little bit, right? Like
that's it.
I mean,
when you wrote on the chalkboard too, Mike is dumb.
so many little things like that. Yeah.
Like, sorry, dude. Where does that relationship, like, where'd that start? Like, how do you know Mike?
We met at Second City taking improv classes.
Oh, nice.
Sort of like, I think a lot of comedy duos or friends meet, taking classes, and we were sort of drawn to each other pretty quickly because we could make each other laugh. And there's a third guy in Trophy Husbands who I'm sure you've seen in the videos. His name is John.
Yep.
We met him there too, and he's American, so he had to go back to America eventually, unfortunately. And so it sort of just became Mike and I doing most of the sketches, and he's been to film school. He's like very smart about behind the camera and like the do's and don'ts of making stuff look good and, production value. And he allows me to be my goofy self, and we get to bounce off each other. It's really easy. We've just never had to work at it. I think that's why it's always been a joy to work together, is because it never feels like work. It just feels like you're talking about hanging out with your buddy and sort of busting each other's balls. It's great.
See, I think we're onto something.
Yeah.
Literally exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
Well, you started a podcast. Yeah, you're on your way, man.
Yeah,
that's it.
Exactly.
I mean, here's something else we got to ask is, if they were ever to do a biographical movie about you, Jackson, who would you want to play as the lead role?
I would want Vince Vaughn, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
He's a tall, bigger guy, and he's just a mile a minute with his mouth. I'm not quite that, quick, but I do love to talk. So I feel like he could capture my essence pretty well. Plus I just grew up, like when he was in his heyday was when I was sort of growing up and getting into comedy. So a lot of fond memories of him. That would be great.
Excellent. Vince Vaughn. Now we have to get him to grow a beard though, wouldn't we? Yeah.
Well, yeah. He's not a perfect lookalike.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to grow a beard, but
Nice.
What do we make Mike then? Would he be John Favreau? Is that?
I think Mike is more of a Michael Cera. That's what he's been
Oh
getting.
yeah. I even
Yeah.
said that while I was watching too. I was like, he kind of looks like Michael Cera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a
maybe a
Toronto
Michael
boy,
Cera,
too.
Casey Affleck mix. He's got a little Casey Affleck. in
Oh,
him, too.
that's he's got the look of Casey. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got the awkwardness of Michael Cera.
Yeah.
For sure. Arrested Development.
Yeah.
That's a good call, man.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should just dive into some questions about the show.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how much we can give away, right? Because it is available to stream in total, right? For the docuseries, but we don't want to give any spoilers or whatever.
No,
right?
we'll do our best to dance around it, but
Okay.
don't hold back too much.
All
It's
right.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there were some amazingly awkward, like speaking of what we were just talking about, there's some amazingly awkward and hilarious moments with the McCracken family specifically.
Certainly, yes.
And some of the locals, specifically one of the locals.
My favorite.
Oh yeah, I was killing myself.
Gary?
Yeah,
Gary,
Gary.
oh my
God. Did you at any point think you had kind of gone too far? Was there any of those moments?
With Gary, we knew pretty quickly that he was not all there, but he called us. He said that he knew where the body was, so we wanted to follow through with it. And a lot of stuff we cut out from we cut out a lot of the stuff he said and a lot of his ramblings. But we did.
Can you embellish on that a little bit? I wanted to kind of know.
I won't go there. I mean, there's a reason we cut it out. I'll say that much.
Okay.
But fair enough. Once we got back to his house, he sort of snapped to it. I think he was back in a normal environment. And his wife came out and we sort of chopped it up for a few minutes, and he realized, he's like, yeah, I think I got, like, he sort of came to a little bit, and then he gave us a call the next day and said, like, I have dementia, and I had a stroke a few years ago, and he's just apologetic. And I think like the guy knew something. Sad. I really do think the guy knew something, but his brain had just let him down a little bit. So
he had the line of the podcast or of the show. Yeah. So where are you from? Toronto.
Asshole of Canada.
Yeah.
The guy is funny, man. He's a very funny guy.
Well, I didn't hold back.
It's those like whoever edited. It was like there's some of those deadpan edits where like when he said the dementia line, I was like crying from laughing. It's because the music stopped and it like zooms in on you guys' face, and you just kind of you're scared shitless. What did we get into here?
A little bit.
The poor guy's out of his element and like out in the wilderness.
Just shuffling up and down the side of the highway. We kept being like, "Can we move like off the road?" He had his sights set. He was ready to go.
I was laughing pretty hard.
How nervous were you though, asking or speaking to the McCracken?
That was really, it was all real, all the emotion you see there, because we knew that this is everyone said he was a really nice guy, and that he was willing to talk to us, so we didn't want to burn any bridges or anything. But at the end of the day, we are accusing or asking, do you have any memory of maybe your uncle committing murder? Like, it's a weird topic to broach. So we were nervous, and we tried to handle it with class, but it, like, in the moment, it's very, very tough.
Yeah. And he wasn't budging on grabbing a bottle of water, was he?
Certainly not. Our plan for the jinx did not work on him, but
no, it did.
That was still fun to pull off.
So what moment through the whole docuseries sticks out to you as the most memorable, without giving too much away, for you?
Gosh, there's a bunch. I mean,
the whole thing is pretty memorable.
I think the first time we called Ken Nesbitt, who I think it's at the end of episode 5, we get the name Bruce Nesbitt as a hint, and then we get in contact with his son, and it's like the cliffhanger for episode 5 is just, he sort of says very plainly what he knows, and it kind of ties in with some stuff we knew, and it unlocks a whole new lead for us. So when we made that call, I remember being in the car and sort of just looking at each other like, oh my gosh, like, this is happening, like, stuff's moving, we're making progress. It felt like total, like, a take your breath away moment. It was very, very cool.
I was personally, I was a little curious. I was like, if the family was gonna actually let you guys, do the bump, or proceed with it. I won't say anything more than that, but that struck my curiosity, because there seemed to be a little bit of reservation. So it was interesting to see how you guys kind of got around it, and
I mean, the whole family was so great and was so committed to helping us solve it, that when we came to them with, the evidence that we do, it was like they were kind of backed into a corner where they're like, we don't really want you to dig on our property. Like, we don't really want all this hassle, but we've committed. We said we'd do it. So as long as you take care of it and put it all back when we're done, then go nuts. So we were lucky they gave us permission. Yeah.
You guys are probably rock stars in that town now, man. Like,
I hope so. We've been there's a Facebook group going still, the Help Find Harold Heaven Facebook group. And it's just nonstop posts from people in Minden and Halliburton who are like with their own theories and saying how much they loved seeing like their friends on camera and stuff. So they're definitely enjoying it. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool, man. Well, that warms the heart. Yeah.
Another thing I just absolutely love was this, anytime you guys are in the bar, the camaraderie that I saw between the locals. But then I quickly realized, like, okay, I gotta ask, did you guys just offer them free food and free beer just to fill the seats, or did they show up?
No, they showed up. Yeah,
Okay,
it was very
okay,
real. Like,
because it seemed like what I got, or at least maybe it's what the editing seemed like, was like maybe they just offered them free food to be there, and that's why they're there. Because it's a lot of people just eating and not answering the questions and not being.
It wasn't like we didn't offer them anything, but we did take advantage of half price wing night. So we knew people show up for the half price wings, and we were like, "Can we also do our thing on?" I think it was Monday nights. Like, do you mind if we come on Monday nights? They're like,
"So I'm not too far off."
You're not far off. Yeah, you're not far off. I think they're like from 6 to 7, it's all yours. But once the Leaf game comes on, like, you better be out of there.
Oh,
like,
wow,
makes sense.
That's a musician's.
Welcome to be a musician's night.
Right. Oh yeah.
biggest applause we ever get is every time the Leafs score a goal.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. You want to take one?
Yeah. No. Yeah. What you got lined up there?
Well, I think you sort of touched a little bit. Maybe expand about the pitch to Paramount and CBC. Like, who approached who there, or did you kind of have the idea and then you went to, I guess it would be Paramount Plus first, right? Or did they come to you and say we could fund this idea? Like, how did that go?
Sure. Basically, Mike came to me with, he had gone home for Thanksgiving and got his hands on those police reports, and it was sort of during the time where true crime was exploding, and like Making a Murderer, all these awesome Netflix docs were like, everyone was watching, including myself and him. And so once we saw that, we read them and we're like, oh, this kind of feels like its own true crime. We a production company called Muse, who produced it, they're based in Toronto. They just called us in for a meeting randomly because they had seen our sketches, and we pitched them this idea and they were on board. And we took it to CBC first, who sort of was in right away, but wasn't going to give us much of a budget. And so the idea was like, well, let's test our luck down south. And we have a little bit of a working relationship with Funny or Die through the videos. And so we pitched it to them, and luckily they came on board. They brought some executive producers on board who had done some big projects, and they took us around to all the places in LA. We kind of flew out for a week, 10 days, pitched everybody, and then 2 or 3 places asked us to come back, came back in a week, did them, and then flew home and sort of didn't hear anything for 2 months. And then eventually it was, they weren't even Paramount Plus yet. It was CBS All Access. Right. They called and they bought it, and we were pretty elated. And I got the news when I was waiting tables. Like, I got the news in the middle of a shift. So I had a freak out, and then I had to finish a 3-hour shift at the end. So it was pretty memorable. Yeah.
Ah, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. I'd have to say that's kind of one of the questions I was most excited to ask you is how do you seem like just normal guys. How do you go about, getting to the next level like that? That's crazy, man.
It is
for being entrepreneurial like that, though, and seeing opportunity where it's,
a good story.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. It's a lot of, calling in a favor when you need it and just sort of picking your spots and getting lucky too. So we're hardworking and we're lucky and at least decent at what we do. And that made for a pretty good show.
How about the Funny or Die thing? Like how do they come into your lives?
We were just making sketch videos and like posting on YouTube and sort of sending it to all the websites that would do it, like College Humor or The Chive or like whatever these, websites that posted videos that went viral. And Funny or Die was one of they used to make some of my favorite original content. They've sort of stopped in recent years, but that website used to be really popular with me and my friends, and I think a lot of people. And so I don't even know, I think probably 2016, they posted a video. They shared one of ours on the front page, and that was just like monumental for us.
Nice.
And we sort of just emailed saying, thank you. Like, we have so many more, and we just kept sending them, and they just kept sharing them to the point where we would get confused. Like, oh, they only shared 9 out of the 10 ones we sent. Why? We got so used to it happening that, and we just kept bugging them and in the nicest way, being like, thank you for sharing. Is there anything else we can do? And the first time we ended up going out to LA, we pitched them a totally different project that they didn't pick up, but they gave us lots of great advice. they paid for us to shoot a sketch for them, and like they've just really been supportive beyond our wildest dreams, honestly.
Did you get to meet Will at all or talk to Will?
No, not Will.
No.
I got to meet Andrew Steele, who was the head of I think the head of content there for a while, who used to be the head writer on SNL, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome.
So he was a fan of us, and like
Wow.
he, gave us a tour and heard our pitch and stuff, and that was the first like person of any weight in Hollywood that said that we had potential. So I'll always be thankful to him for sure.
Excellent. Do you spend much time down in the States?
No, it's it's like I've been a few times. I have friends down there, but I like it up here. I mean, I kind of feel like it. Once you reach a certain level in Canada, there's only so much you can accomplish, and you have to go to the States.
Sure.
And I'm not there yet, so I'm happy, to keep, working in Canada, see what we can do, and eventually maybe I will move down there, but I'm not in any rush, honestly.
Right.
You're not waiting tables anymore, obviously, right? You're still you're definitely still like producing content and stuff like that. Obviously.
Yes, getting this gig allowed me to quit my job, which was the dream.
Amazing.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
kind of the dream on our end too.
Yeah,
man.
that's exciting, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right
for you.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. It really is. That was always my I have you always have big dreams, but the most realistic one was like, if I can just get paid to make comedy, I'll be happy. And so I've already exceeded that, and hopefully it continues.
Yeah, start small and then build
and see what happens.
Yeah,
stick with it. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Excellent. So you're in Toronto?
I'm in Toronto. Yeah.
Yep.
Born and raised here. Pretty much, besides my time in KW, I've lived here my whole life. And I love it. It's tough during the pandemic. Being downtown is not nearly as useful when nothing's open, but it's where it's home. So I don't mind.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Excellent, man.
Okay, well, I don't know. I want to ask a big one here for you, but I don't know if you can answer it. But
sure, lay it on me. I'll see if I can answer it.
Can you give us your theory on
What
the
happened to
yeah.
Harold?
Of
Yeah.
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
what's your? Wait, should we give ours first, or do you?
Sure. Yeah. Go for it.
You
I
do.
know you go ahead. You're throwing this at me.
I personally, after watching it, I thought Harold might be gay,
Mhm.
and the locals didn't like it, and I think he's buried under the highway.
Huh. I actually think he's in that lake that you couldn't find him in. That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's in the lake too.
Yeah.
But I think it's because the locals or the road workers, the road crew, I think is involved. But just for my own sake, I hope he's not under the road, because there's no way we're going to find him under there.
Right.
So I hope that he really is in the lake, because there's ways we can, upon second brush, we can sort of get in there deeper if we really try. So it's possible, but my heart says that the road crew, not killed him, and he ended up in the lake.
Yeah.
And what about your partner? What do
you think Mike thinks?
Mike, I think we're pretty much at a consensus in that sense.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because Under the Road, like, really is sort of like a sexier thing. It's like the perfect crime almost. You'll never find him because he's under the highway. So we both like that, but the more realistic thing is the lake, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, All right. Well, I'll end. We can end with this one, right?
Yeah.
Are you a hard out, or do you still have time? Or
No, it's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Well, in the back of our musician minds, I hear this story told from like the perspective of like a Gordon Lightfoot song, or
Like a hip song.
a Tragically Hip song.
Yeah,
maybe,
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
This sounds kind of like the David Milgaard story, or it's just the way you guys, I don't know. It was really impressive the way you guys shone light on this. I would have never known unless it was for you guys. And to be honest, we had the wives watching too, and mine specifically is obsessed with the crime. Actually, she hasn't even listened to one of our podcasts. She only listens to crime podcasts.
Right.
So
yeah,
when I
so
said,
many
"Hey, we
people
got an
do.
interview with this guy who's putting on, a docuseries," she was all on board for helping with the questions, and so some of this
Cool.
I do owe to her. So, anyways,
Excellent.
She wanted to be here, but I had to veto that. I
Yeah.
said, no girls
Wives
allowed.
allowed.
Yeah.
no, but she did want me to say hi to you, so I'm saying hi to you. But
Well, say hi right back to her.
I will.
Thank you.
So my question to you is, would you be opposed to Jay and I writing something that you kind of played influence in like about this story for music wise.
Are you kidding? That sounds amazing. That would be beautiful. Art inspiring art. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too.
Yeah.
I just think my mind goes to like Gordon Lightfoot, the record of Edmund Fitzgerald. It's such a Canadian, the way you guys tell it. It's so specifically Canadian and so specifically Ontario. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to put some music to that story, man.
Yeah, I can.
Dude, if you guys do, we would be honored. That would be amazing. I'd love to hear.
Yeah, we could definitely reach out and share it with you when we do.
Please do.
I only came up with the idea yesterday and wrote it down as soon, but it would have been cool. Like, had we organized this a little sooner, I would have been like, yeah, let's try to debut the song to him tonight.
Yeah, throw it at you.
Oh, well, that would be perfect. But
but
don't worry.
We've got contact now, so we can send it your way whenever.
So,
dude, I really hope you do.
So, Jackson, what do you got coming up? Anything else other than the show? What are you guys working on?
If you can take one thing away from this interview, just watch For Heaven's Sake on CBC Gem. All 8 episodes streaming now, and enjoy it. It's got something for everything, something for everyone.
Super, super, super funny. It's and I should say this, man. You guys pioneered your own genre. Like, you are the first of your own kind to blend comedy and like mystery. Although I will say, when I watched, what was the one you mentioned, the big one, the Avery brothers, I shouldn't laugh, but I was laughing just because of, I think the biggest crime in that series was actually the dialogue.
Oh man,
the way they spoke to each other. They're just so simple. But anyways, I do think you guys kind of led the way and pioneered your own genre. And I don't know. I don't want to say I hope you guys do another one, because that means someone else died, but like, or disappeared. But I hope you guys kind of continue the pursuit, I guess you could say. If you find another another
Harold Heaven,
another cold case, man, you guys should pursue it. It's you're the first of your kind, man, and that's, I tip my hat to that. We tip our hats to that.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. That means a lot. I mean, if someone out there has a old family mystery they want solved, reach out. We're always open to it.
Yeah.
Right on, brother. Well, we really do appreciate your time, man. And thanks for doing this for us. And
my pleasure. I had a great
man.
time.
All the success to you. Hopefully
thank you.
All goes well. And
cheers, man.
Yeah.
Cheers. Right back at you guys.
And,
okay, brother.
We'll get you that song once it's up.
Oh yeah. Please
there
do.
You go.
I'd love to hear. All right. Take care.
Take her easy, man.
Bye.